Now, by the time you're watching this video, I am going to be officially past my mid-30s, and I thought of shooting this video in a very casual setting to kind of speak to you guys on what I would have wished somebody told me when I was in my 20s. And chances are, if you're in your 20s or early 30s, this would literally be an entire decade worth of experience or advice that I wish somebody would have told me when I was in my 20s, starting out my journey of entrepreneurship, of building an online business, and pursuing my goals and ambitions. If you watch till the end of this video, you would literally avoid all of the different mistakes that I made, and you would be able to escape that learning curve and really condense it into one 15-minute video. And the first one, number one, is understanding that you can become anyone that you identify yourself with. Now, what do I mean by that? You know, we always hear the saying, oh, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. And I know that for a really long time, and I also observe this for many people, and the word that a lot of people label themselves these days that seems to be the buzzword is the word introvert. Oh, but I can't do this because I'm an introvert. And for a really long time, that was the identity that I gave myself. Oh, but I want to be able to, you know, be in front of stages and speak in front of large groups. Oh, but I'm an introvert. And for a really long time, I hid behind that very convenient term. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that limit themselves, not just from this very convenient term, introvert, but from that identity that they give themselves. Oh, but I'm shy, but I'm introverted, but I'm still too young. And whatever identity that you give yourself, you'll find a way to make it true. And I remember the first time I was kind of introduced to this concept very indirectly, and it was the first time when I was actually doing a home workout, and I saw this video from this series, home workout series called P90X that was very popular about 10 plus years ago. So about maybe about 12 years ago, I did a home workout. And the trainer, Tony Horton, during this back day, said this thing. He said, if you can't do pull-ups, I want you to eliminate the words I can't. And I want you to instead use the words I currently struggle with. And I can tell you at that time, I was somebody who told myself, I can't do pull-ups. I look at the workout and I was like, I can't do pull-ups. Even though today I could do like 15 pull-ups in one go, no issues, I realized that that was actually a very powerful thing for me because that was an identity that I gave myself. I identified myself as I can't do pull-ups rather than someone who said I presently struggle with. Now, what does this have to do with you? It could be the case that right now you want to be a speaker, but you can't be a speaker. And for whatever reason, you're shy, you're introverted, you might feel that you're weird in front of camera, awkward, whatever it might be for you, but you gotta change that identity. What identity have you given yourself right up to this point? You see, one of my biggest struggles in my 20s was giving up smoking. I started smoking at a very young age, 17 years old, went to the club when I was in college, when I was in the UK, and somehow my first clubbing experience, somebody gave me a cigarette, I tried it and I was hooked onto it, and I always thought to myself, oh, I want to give up smoking. I'm a smoker, but I want to give up smoking. I'm a smoker, but I want to give up smoking. And because that was the identity I gave myself, versus changing my identity altogether that said, you know what, I'm not a smoker, that changed everything. So number one is to think about that goal, that ambition, that dream that you might have, and rather than saying I can't fill in the blanks or I'm not fill in the blanks, instead say I currently struggle with. I currently struggle with shooting videos. I currently struggle with speaking in front of large groups of people. Rather than giving yourself that identity, which you will find a way to be right about. Change your identity and you'll realize that your goals become immediately a whole lot easier to achieve. And that brings us to number two, which is the myth of save more money. Save more money. That's something that I know my parents told me a ton when I was growing up, and chances are you've been exposed to that term a lot. Save more money, you know, live below your means. Especially if you are brought up in an Asian upbringing. And I know that this is true for me, but I realized that for people who are overachievers, people that's hungry, people that's ambitious, people that's ambitious, and if that's you, if you want to be able to achieve more, people in that category is not motivated by saving more money and living below their means. But rather, if you're an achiever, you are hungry and motivated by either success, recognition, and you want to be able to achieve a specific lifestyle or goal. And if you are constantly being told by, save more money, live below your means, that's not going to fuel you. That's not going to serve you. And if you are somebody that wants to level up significantly, you got to be thinking about how can you use that money, not to save that money, but how to compound it and invest it so that it's like soldiers going out there fighting a war for you, and they're going to bring back a whole lot more. So how do you actually make that happen? So think about it this way. If you are somebody that's starting out and you're earning minimum wage, a couple of thousand a month, saving more money is not going to help you get to that next level. Why? Because saving that money under your pillow or in the bank is not going to have that compound effect. You want to think about how can you invest it and compound that amount instead. So initially, 10% of a $5,000 income is not going to be significant. Why? Because that's going to be 500 bucks a month. And even if you are the best investor in the world and you could get back, I don't know, Warren Buffett, he gets back like 20+ percent returns a year, it's not going to be enough to retire you. So you got to think about how can you compound that amount by first investing in building some sort of skill set that allows you to create more, to achieve more, to earn more. And that's your first level of investing. Your second level of investing is then thinking about what vehicle, whether it's real estate, whether it is stocks, and to take that amount so that you understand it's not about saving money, but investing in a skill set, in some sort of vehicle or some sort of opportunity that is going to compound over time. Because successful people don't save money, successful people understand how to invest money. And number 3 is to audit your circle. You see, I grew up in a circle where friends, family, they're everything, right? But and you got to understand that when you start to level up, and when you start to achieve, there's going to be people that's supportive of you, and there's people that's not going to be supportive of you. There's going to be people that is on the same wavelength. And in most cases, as you start achieving, you're going to realize that sometimes people around you, they'll call you crazy. They'll say, you've changed. They'll say whatever, okay? And you got to start being aware if the people around you are supportive or if they're toxic. And the reason why I say this is because when I was first starting out in my journey of entrepreneurship, I had a friend tell me in my native language is Cantonese, and he would say, Peng, which is why you call me, it's like, if you could think of this idea, other people would have thought of this idea as well. And at that time of my life, in my early 20s, I thought, hey, that's true. I mean, if I could have come up with this idea, anyone could have come up with this idea, and it's probably not a good idea. And it was because of that very simple thought that was inception, right? Embedded in my mind, I thought that chances are it wasn't a good idea just because somebody that was close to me told me it wasn't a good idea. Now, I could give more examples like these, but just think about the people that you surround yourself with, your family, your friends. Are they nurturing you? Are they supportive of you? Or are they toxic? And here's the thing, sometimes they could be really close friends and family who genuinely want your best interests. But the problem is, they haven't really tried it themselves. And I always say this, I say looking back, the worst kind of financial advice is financial advice from broke people. And I don't mean to say that in a condescending way, because genuinely, they could have your best interest at heart. But you gotta audit your circle and ask yourself, my environment that I'm surrounding myself with, my family and my friends, are they genuinely supportive of me? And if not, you gotta find another way to surround yourself with and feed yourself with that positivity. Either find a new group, and if you're constantly, the smartest person in the room, you gotta find yourself a new room. Because that's how you level up. And in fact, how I level up today is by literally forcing myself to be in rooms, either in masterminds or in groups where I'm not the smartest person. In fact, I want to be the dumbest person so that I will be motivated and inspired. Now, why do I still attend masterminds where I'm paying $50,000 a year? It is so that I can see other people who's crushing it in a way that's way bigger than what I'm doing, so that it gives me newfound inspiration and motivation to level up. How are you constantly hanging out, and what groups are you hanging out with? Audit your circle of friends. And number 4 is about money. That money, it doesn't buy personal happiness, but it does buy happiness. Now let me explain. Now, you've probably heard it, money doesn't buy happiness, but here's what money does buy. It does buy freedom, and freedom can make you very happy. Now, however, the reason why I say money does buy happiness is because I truly believe that a person that says money doesn't buy happiness is just because they haven't given enough of it away. I found this to be very profound when I first, one of my closest friends asked me to do this build together with him. And a couple of years ago, when I was first exposed to this, he inspired me to sponsor and get my team to build a home, in fact 2 homes over a weekend. And that weekend where we built up this home for people that were less fortunate, they were victims of a natural disaster, and when we funded it and we got together as a team and built it together and handed over the keys together with them at the end of the weekend, it was one of the most powerful experiences I had in my life. And that weekend that we did made me realize that money does buy other people's happiness. And if you're somebody that is currently struggling with motivation and you're telling yourself, you know what, but I'm not a motivated person, but I'm not hungry, perhaps this would be one exercise that would help you out. And it doesn't need to be, building a home or something. It could be as simple as going out to the streets, and the next time you see a homeless person come up to you or somebody that's in need. Okay, now I want you to take out $50, look at this person in the eye and give this person that $50 and just say, go buy yourself a nice meal today. Now, whatever reaction this person might have, this person, sometimes it could be just, there's no reaction. It could be that this person would be extremely grateful. Now, whatever it might be for you, okay, whatever the reaction is, I just want you to take that moment in, because I can promise you, just by being in that position to help somebody else at that level, is going to give you newfound motivation or hunger by being able to be in that position to give. Now, I'm not here to debate whether, and of course, some of you are going to say, oh, that's just enabling somebody else to be lazy. Look, I'm not here to debate. That's going to be a totally different debate altogether. I am just saying that money does buy happiness. It does buy other people's happiness. And if you are somebody that's struggling to find that fire, that hunger, that motivation, then just do that simple exercise by being able to give money away just like that, and notice how their reaction, do it a couple of times, and you'll realize that joy it gives somebody else is going to give you that motivation and that hunger to want more, to be able to do more so that you can give more away. And number 5 is a high failure rate doesn't make it a scam. And I think this is a question that I get a lot. People ask me, in fact, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, somebody asked me, network marketing is a scam because it has a 99% failure rate. What is your take? I'm not sure where this person got 99% from, but this is the exact question. Look, so I don't do network marketing. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. In fact, if anything at all, I'm more for it because I think it's like the gateway drug to entrepreneurship. It does enable people to learn about sales, dealing with criticism, understanding how to sell products. I think it has its merits. There are a few bad apples, of course, well, not a few, there's a lot of bad apples in the industry. It makes it a bad name. But, it is not about network marketing, but it is about whether anything at all that has got a high failure rate doesn't mean that it's a scam. You see, some of you, when you're watching this, the way you look at things and how you judge something, for example, video marketing or YouTube or selling online or Forex or eBay or drop shipping. Most people will say fill in the blanks has got a high failure rate, therefore it doesn't work or it's a scam. But if you take a look at anything worthwhile has got a high failure rate, right? Getting into the NBA chances are has got a 99% failure rate or higher. But does that make NBA a scam? Going into American Idol, chances are has got a 99.99% failure rate. Most people don't make it. But does that make American Idol a scam? You see, anything worthwhile, anything great has got a high failure rate. And it is not about choosing a vehicle that works for you, that has got a high success rate, but rather understanding that anything great or anything worthwhile has got an extremely high failure rate. And a way to think about it is to rise above. And that brings us to number 6. The best way to lead is by showing up. And if you're somebody that loves growth and learning, and chances are that's why you're on this video, you're gonna realize that in this journey of entrepreneurship and growth and personal development, there's going to be times where you look around you and you start questioning either friends, family, and you try to, what I call, vomit your personal development or wokeness on somebody else. And now you're spitting out all these different jargons and terminology on your friends and family that you're genuinely trying to help. Something I know I went through. I would be thinking like, why are they not motivated? Why are they not inspired? Don't they like want a better life? What's wrong with them? And what I grew to realize is that we all have our own journey. And the best way to get our close friends and family to be aligned with us is just to show up and lead by example. So if you want to motivate and inspire your friends or family to have a fit, healthy lifestyle, it's not about telling them about it, but rather just showing up and living it and being it, because when they are ready, guess what? They're gonna come to you and ask you for that advice. And that brings us to number 7, which is the words I know, and how you look and deal with these 2 words. When I first started out my online business, it took me 7 months to make my first sale. And when I started getting these results, there was a point in time that I knew that my growth kind of stopped because I was getting all these different results. It was pretty good back in 2005. And when I was getting these results and successes, I started telling myself, oh, I'm pretty good at this. I know this. I know this. And there was a point in time where I actually stopped growing. And somehow, from this personal development seminar that I attended, one thing that this person said at this training was the biggest thing that stops somebody from learning are the words I know. And I thought that was very powerful, because what changed my journey of learning and growth was how I started looking at these 2 words very differently. It is easy for any one of us to say, oh, Facebook ads? Oh yeah, I know that. Oh yeah, weight loss? Yeah, I know that. And the real test is to ask yourself, am I actually living it? Am I a practitioner? Anybody can say, I know that, but a true test, the real litmus test to see if you actually know is if you are living it. And only you will be able to ask the question, are you living it? And do you have the results that you want from that thing? And if you don't, that means you don't know. You might understand the idea or the concept, but if you aren't living it and if you don't have the results, it means that you don't know. You see, in my journey of learning and growth, every time I want to learn something, I will always make myself the beginner again and come from the angle of I don't know. And that brings us to number 8, how important food is when it comes to our field. You know, my whole life, food was never really a thing. Like health and fitness was never a thing. And I never really understood how much impact and change in terms of not just the physique, but how I feel, how different things would be just based upon the stuff that I put in my body. And here's the thing, I love eating fried stuff, oily, greasy stuff, because I feel that, you know, life is more to it than just eating salad each day. But the way I look at food now is also not just about things that we enjoy, but how we are fueling our body. What changed for me is when I started looking at food as fuel rather than something that we just consume, and that how we feel, our mental clarity, our state of mind, our focus is largely dependent on what it is that we're consuming. I remember that in my early 20s, every single day I would be eating crap for lunch. And I thought that it was actually very normal, that it's normal to feel tired and sluggish throughout the day, especially after a meal. I had no idea that just changing what it is that I ate would make me feel completely different. And when you start feeling different, that is when your drive, your clarity, your focus, the decisions that you make is going to be very, very different. And for those of you that if you are somebody that constantly feel tired or lethargic or sluggish, one of the best ways is just to eliminate sugar, start incorporating greens. And even though it was something that I hate eating, when I started doing that, I started feeling different. My energy, my focus, and my levels of clarity was totally different. Number 9 is about perspective. No matter how your day goes, no matter how bad it is, during the times when you're asking yourself, why did this have to happen to me? Perspective means, in the grand scheme of things, if you were to compare the problem that you had today versus somebody else that is literally going through life today because they had to bury a loved one, you're gonna realize that the problem that you faced yesterday, today, in the grand scheme of things, was nothing. In the grand scheme of things, right now, there is somebody that wishes that they could swap their life with yours. Somebody that is living in a third world country that is going through war right now, who would gladly, just like that, trade lives with you while you are at home watching a YouTube video in the comfort of your own home. That if you understood perspective in the grand scheme of things, your problems are actually insignificant to a lot more problems out there. And if we can come from the angle of understanding that the problems that we face in life are really just problems that is insignificant, first world problems, you're gonna start looking at your problems that you face in life very differently. And finally, number 10, just understanding that life is finite. And over the last decade, I've lost people. And as you start growing older and when you start losing, whether, a loved one, pet, you're gonna realize that these can serve as reminders that life is finite. That one day, whether we're ready or not, it all ends. So at the end of it all, when it's all over, in that deathbed, and I don't wanna make this video, a downer at the end, but I think that it is a big guiding force that you can actually utilize in day-to-day decision making and goals, or if you're at crossroads in life. It's just by thinking that at the end of it all, when it's all over, when it's all said and done, what would you have wished that you would have liked to do at your age right now? So at the end of it all, when you're in that deathbed, what do you think you would have liked your younger self to have done? To explore, or to go and do that scary thing, to be bolder, to perhaps be more forgiving, to show your silly side, to do the things that gave you joy and fulfillment rather than money. Now, whatever it might be for you, just come from the angle of, at the end of it all, when it's all said and done, how would you have thought about that thing that you've always wanted to do? The thing that you want to do right now. And make decisions based on what you at your deathbed would want you to have done. And that, to me, is something that has been a big guiding force for me. Let me know in the comments below which one you actually like the most. Smash the like button if you found value from this video. It does help the channel out a little bit. And be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified for future videos similar to this one. This is Peng Joon here, and I will see you in the next video.